Welcome to the Santa Anita Pick Six preview show. My guests, Skipper and Gino. We've got quite a big day tomorrow, Gino. Obviously, the Kentucky Derby might take center stage, but we're here to talk a little Southern California racing. There's plenty of those other shows talking Derby, and we will talk the Kentucky Derby at the end of the day. But first Saturday in May, Gino, you can't get any bigger than this.
No, and we have plenty of opportunities at Santa Anita for you to get involved with big wagers. You can play the Coast to Coast Pick 5. We're going to talk about the Pick 6. The Pick'em contests are back, free to enter. $500 to the winner every Saturday and Sunday. Sports props, basketball, baseball, and horse racing stuff for the weekend. So you have a shot at those. Also, lots of opportunities, Chappie and Skippy, all over the place. So I know we'll be talking all about them, and I'll be looking definitely a lot at Churchill and at Santa Anita firing away.
Yeah, and Skipper, we're not trying to divert their attention away from Churchill Downs. Obviously, the card is unbelievable. Everyone plays the Derby, but there's money to be made everywhere. That's why we're focusing this show on Santa Anita.
Yeah, there's Santa Anita's got a great card tomorrow. I can't believe the Derby's already here. They ran the Kentucky Oaks today. Great racing, and I'm looking forward to this Pick 6 at Santa Anita tomorrow, and of course the Kentucky Derby. And it's an exciting time. It's a great time for us horse players.
So we're going to dive right in now to the Santa Anita Pick 6, and like we said, at the end of the show, we will talk a little Kentucky Derby, maybe a couple prices we like to throw in there, and give our opinions on the biggest race of the day. Gino, let's start with the first leg of Santa Anita's Pick 6. It looks like a Waller Open Company, 5.5 furlong claimers. What'd you think here, Gino? I thought it was kind of a scramble here to start.
Yeah, what makes it really difficult is it's a 10 claimer, but it's really like a non-winners when you look at how infrequent a lot of these horses have been winning as of late. Like the one is 0 for the last 4. Last win was in December. Woodbine Way is 0 for the last 14. Tap It Do is 0 for the last 7. The last win was July of 2022. Keep Your Coils 0 for the last 7. Vella's 0 for the last 10. Wrong Turn Cupid hasn't won in the last 4 starts since the end of last year. Dancing Dana's 0 for the last 9. So we're not talking about horses,
win.
right? Yeah, and it's funny because this is normally what you'll see in like a non-winners of 2 or a non-winners of the year. It's really difficult to have a strong opinion in this race. I think I have 2 real strong opinions maybe throughout the sequence that I'll try to lean in on. This race, I'll be using the 2 Woodbine Way just as another shot on the dirt. This horse has been in a lot better races. The 3 Tap It Do reportedly working really well in the mornings too. And this horse just kind of fits if you look at the old dirt form. I think this one may be rounding back into form. So I'll definitely be using 2, 3. Wrong Turn Cupid's probably in the mix. And I'm even going to use Vella because initially I was thinking, Vella, 0 for the last 10. Vella can't win this race. And then I went through and everybody else has been 0 for recently. So Vella could be a horse that gets a trip if they go a little too quick early on and could be passing. So nothing real crazy or outside the box, but I guess a good amount of the logicals in here for me.
You know, Skip, like Gino said, there seems like there should be one horse in here that sticks out, that has won races that, because this should be a conditioned race and it's not. So therefore, it's very difficult to come up with someone. What were your thoughts? Anything different than what we've spoken of so far?
No, the only one that I would add that Gino didn't mention is outside horse, Dancing Dana. I think the outside speed on this horse, it's not a win machine. It's only won 2 of 22, but it's dropping down. I think Craig Lewis found the right spot, the right level for this horse. If it can't win here, it's going to be in trouble. So I'm going to go 4 deep in here. My top play is the 3, Tap It Do. I love when they go route to sprint and turf to dirt. This horse is racing at an all-time low also, 10,000. And there looks like there's some speed in here with the 1, possibly even the 6, the 7, obviously speed, maybe even the 2 Woodbine Way, but with blinkers off, maybe not so. But I think Tap It Do is going to get a good trip and could come and maybe pick him up at the wire, but I'm not that confident. So I'm going to go 4 deep with that all being said.
I have no confidence in this race. As you gentlemen know, I always do a tip sheet for the people who come out for the festivals tomorrow, and my top pick was the 3 as well. It sounds like all 3 of us our very that would be our very tepid, lukewarm top pick, if you could say, at least 5-1. But it looks like this is probably what the horse wants to do, right, Gino?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think back to the dirt, and he looks like he's working out well. And this is the type of race where there's not much in here, so they should be really competitive against this field.
All right, we move on to the second leg, and that's the second leg of the pick six, and we're going 1.25 miles. This is the Charlie Whittingham, Skip, and this is a terrific field going 1.25 miles. What were your thoughts in here?
You know, Charlie Whittingham, speaking of Derby Day, he won a few of them with Sunday Silence, and one of my favorite horses was Ferdinand, that he won from the one hole with Billy Shoemaker for Howard Keck, and that was exciting. I thought I'd bring that up. So this race I love it. I love these long races on the grass. I thought I could narrow it down. At first, I was looking at it. I thought Planetario is probably the horse that I'm going to bet. But, you know, the more I look through it, I'm going to use a few in here. I'll mention the one, Awfully Naughty. This horse was really sharp last year. It won 3 in a row. It's had 3 wins over Sanita's turf. Michael McCarthy, our buddy, does a great job. This horse probably needed its last race. Coming off a break from October to March, came back, didn't miss a beat in the morning. It came back and it worked April 7th, April 13th, April 19th, April 27th, right on schedule. Just a nice little pattern coming in. And then, you know, JJ Hernandez stays aboard, so I got to use the 1. There's not a lot of speed in here. The 2's going to be in front. You know, it hasn't gone wire to wire in the last 4 races, but the 2 before that, it went to wire twice. I don't see anybody who's going to really be close to this horse. I don't know if it can, but it's going to be in front, and I'm going to be using it. The one that's sneaky, I think, it's only 4-1, but Gold Phoenix. Go back and watch that last replay. He sat way back. It was a really good race by Johannes, a really nice horse. The time was 1:32 flat. Boy, that's racehorse time. This horse doesn't want a mile. It wants to go longer. And that race just looked like an absolute prep to me. It was way back. JJ Hernandez, you know, just kind of sat back, angled it out. I think he tripped it once in the stretch, came running. The thing that is a little interesting, JJ goes to the 1 and gets off this horse. But Kyle Frey's been riding great. He's been riding the grass great. So I'm going to use the first 3 horses. And then the other one I'm going to use is the one I mentioned at first, is Planetario. This horse has ran some really good races, loves the distance. It won the San Juan Capistrano over the Santa Anita turf course last year. It's been racing against Miss the Cut, that good John Sadler grass horse. And, you know, been running very good. That last race was very strange. It's like they ran in spot. It was almost like a boat race. And then at the top of the stretch, it looked like this horse was going to go on with it and got tired, and Miss the Cut beat him. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 5 in here.
Gino, I have nothing to add to Skip's comments because I'm actually using the exact same horses for the exact same reason. I think the 5 is the one to beat. The 2 could be Lone Speed. The 1 is working well, and JJ stays there. Gold Phoenix has a lot of class. There you go. Gino, do you have anybody to add into that mix?
It's funny. I did exactly what Skip did backwards. I started with the 1, 3, 5, 6, and 8, and I came all the way back to Planetario. And I'm going to single Planetario. I think that he is actually just slightly better than a lot of these. He's actually going to go 3rd start of the form cycle too. So he could take one small step forward. That horse Skip mentioned missed the cut. He went over to Keeneland and was a really good second in the Elkhorn, earned a 98 Beyer speed figure that day, finishing second behind a Lone Speed horse named Silver Knot, or a horse who was way in front that day and got a big jump on him. So I think that Planetario also, I was really pleased by the last race showing that more tactical speed. He might be second in here early and throughout. Like, he may be able to get the jump on some of the others in here. And if he does, I think that could be the difference. And that's sort of why I gravitated back towards him, because a lot of his races, when they're going a little bit shorter, he's farther back. I think at 1.5 miles, he can sit a little bit closer here. So I'm going to give it to Planetario. I actually made him the single. I started kind of knocking a little bit like Balladeer. I watched back. I don't know if he's going to get a different trip than he got in his last couple of races when he was clear. So he absolutely could win, but I think I played him both of those times feeling the same thing, like he was going to be loose on the front end, and he couldn't really seal the deal in the same kind of spot against the same kind of horses. Gold Phoenix makes a little sense stretching back out, but yep, let's go back to Planetary.
Skip, real quick back to you, because I think the way you and I do things, sometimes we play 2 tickets. I'm strongly considering singling Planetario on one of the tickets as well. I don't know if your thoughts, or are you just using the 4 that you had mentioned?
I'm just going to play 1 ticket tomorrow, and I'm going to use the 4 that I had mentioned. And, using the 2 also scares me because, like Gino said, it has got that easy lead the last 2 races, and it's just fallen apart. But, it's 3rd race back in the cycle, and it did it before. And Papa Padromo started off this Hollywood meet, and he's hot. So I just got to use it. I tried to talk myself out of it, but I'm not. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 5. I thought about maybe using the 7, the old class horse of Chad Brown's that ships over for Phil D'Amato. But it's 8 years old. I don't know, maybe getting a little long in the tooth. I don't know. So I'm going to go 4 deep in here. I'm going to go light late. So I'm going to hopefully be alive to the last 2 races.
All right, we move on to race 3, and that would be Maiden 50 State Breds. And as I looked at this race, I'm not impressed with the horses who have ran before. This is a spread race to me because my top 2 picks are 2 first-time starters, and that would be the 7 Where's the Loot, who worked very well on April 27th with a horse named the Big Chizola, who actually beat Dance Man the last time out.
Yeah, we're going to see him too a little later.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And then the 6 War on the West. Now, the problem with that is I'm just going by the hot jockey angle, hot trainer angle, and that I don't like the horses all that well that have ran. There are no works on XBTV, so we all like to watch those. I'm kind of putting some faith here. After that, I think it's kind of a spread. Maybe Dance Man with the speed could be, dangerous. In these Maiden 50 State Bred, speed's always dangerous, Gino. After that, I don't know.
This is kind of when I'm building my ticket, when I'm looking back, why I probably have to single Planetario, because I thought this race was really challenging, as well as the 6th. And for the different kind of challenging reasons, right? Sometimes you'll get those grass races. We have 1 or 2 of them in the sequence that are really good. You can make a case for 5 or 6 horses. Those are ones that are kind of fun to single a horse that you really like or shorten up. It's the ones where you really can't get much of a feel for it. Those are the challenging ones. And this is kind of that case. Cause like you said, the horses who have run are not all that impressive. The first time starters, I think you got the 2. I think I want both of them on the ticket for me. War on the West and Where's the Loot. Dance Man's in the mix. It's funny. I would never want to use a horse like the 1 from the rail with some of the issues that he's had. This horse really showed a little something last time out in that race. He closed a ton. If he can just find a way to get out of the gate a little bit better, we're saying there's not much in this field. Like if he can just stay in contact with the field, I actually like him the most of the horses that have run. So yeah, this one, he would be a horse that I would include just because I don't think you'd have to be that much to beat this field. So if he just got out of the gate early and was not that far out of it, like I really do think he could pass a lot of them late. He'll be the sort of kind of sneaky horse that I use in this race, along with Dance Man and the 2 first-time starters. I mean, even Last Call Paul, he could win this race.
Correct.
It's that type of race where he actually fits and wouldn't shock. So I have one more single, I think, coming up. This is the race, one of those where I just got to try to get through, mainly because I don't think there's going to be a really short price. If there was a really short price or 2, I'd probably chuck them out and use some of the others, but there'll probably be like 5-2, 2-1 on the Dance Man, and then, a couple others in the tier right behind him. So yeah, I bobbed and weaved and hemmed and hawed Skip to basically tell Chappie nothing.
I know, Skipper, it's tough. Like, I'm going back and forth on the 1, like Gino said, because he did show something in the off slow, and then draws the rail. That's the one thing that's just so
even shorter now, too. 5.5.
Right, right. What are your thoughts, Skip?
I'm using the four horses you guys mentioned. The one, I don't like it being on the rail, but it was a good race last time, and it did close a lot of ground. Came back with a bullet work. It was at low sal, but I like that. Dance Man, you have to use. That's the speed horse. And then I'm not using Last Call Paul. When I see 0 for 10 and the horse runs the same race every time, it's almost like a pack animal. They don't want to get in front. They want to run with horses. You know what I mean? And I just won't use that horse. When I 0 for 10, forget it. I'm using the first 2-time starters, the 6 and the 7, for the same reasons that Chappie mentioned and Gino. I'm not impressed with the horses that have run. Pipey's on fire. Tim Yakteen does a good job. I like the post position. At the dam, she's produced 2 winners from 3 foals to race. So I'm going to go 1, 3, 6, 7. I tried to make a stand for the 5, but we can't tell how good those works are at San Luis Rey. It's a big drop from straight main to main 50. Bullet works, but I wanted to use that horse, but I'm not gonna. 1, 3, 6, 7 for me.
All right, 1, 3, 6, 7, and we move on to the race 9. That's a mile and an eighth on the turf maiden special weight. I'm going to give you guys a couple of my thoughts in here. This is I'm going to spread here, and I'm going to take a wild shot with a price. So on replays, I'm sure we will all mention the 4 Hurricane Way, who had a terrible start from the rail last time out, flew late, galloped out really well. The 9, I thought, had a sneaky good race first time in the country for Phil D'Amato, and I think that horse is going to improve. Also galloped out well. The 12, unbelievably bad stumble at the start. I don't know how the jockey Rosario stayed on that horse. Those 3 alone are crazy. Yet I'm going to get to my price play, and that's the 1.
Yeah,
Tour
the works.
The last work on April 28th was with Muth, and he worked damn well as good as Muth.
Yeah, the last couple of works have been with Muth too, right there, like not being discouraged at all.
Right, and he ran fine in the debut. Obviously wants to go long. That was another one of those strong races where the Glatz ran 1-2. American Pharaoh's on the turf. You're getting 12 to 1, which is insane.
What do you think they would? What kind of trip are you expecting with this horse?
I don't know.
I think they just go right.
Probably. Yeah. I think forwardly placed for sure.
Yeah, I think the point is being in here too, especially when you get the rail draw like that. I think they get aggressive, and if they get out of the gate, that's what a lot of the Baffert horses do too. They kind of play chicken with you, right? They will go so quickly, get out of the gate, and force you to blink, and then you have to make that decision early on. And if you're wide, I think a lot of these other horses would be content. That horse is going, kind of settling off. But I agree with you. I think if you're playing this pick 6. Throw the 1 in this race, just for that reason. As Chappie's mentioning, he won't be 12 to 1. If he's 5 or 6, that's fine. Like that's probably where he should be in this race because of the turf factor and it is a wild card and it is a big field. And like you said, there are other horses, Chappie. Like I thought the 12 had it's almost it's laughable because I had the horse last time. Remember I was telling you about how he kept losing to all the Bafferts. Remember? And I set you up for the da-dunch, and then, so that was just, how the last, 6 months, which feels like 6 years have been going for me. Brutal stumble. He's last early. He's like 12 lengths off. He moves 5 wide at the top of the stretch. And then when he's moving and he's getting his momentum built up, he gets bumped at the top, like right when he's angling out, and he almost loses his footing.
By Nitty, that's the horse who ran second. Yeah.
Yeah. So right as he's just about starting up, he gets bumped and then he loses his footing and he has to take a few more strides to get going again. It was a monster effort. He has 2 winning grass siblings too. So it was no surprise to see this horse show that improvement on the grass. And now the blinkers will come on and Hernandez jumps aboard. And he's shown he can sit a lot closer. I just think he's another one that from the outside, they don't want to be hooked wide. I think they're going to try to go forward and sit close and maybe just sit 2-3 deep if possible. Try to get like a dirt trip out of the clear. That's what happens a lot of times, right? You get stuck in traffic or you have trouble. You want to do the opposite. Get him out wide, no getting stuck in traffic or like stumble at the start kind of thing. Like, let's just keep this horse in the clear and make sure that if he loses, it's not because of anyone else's fault, but like it was just a little bit wide.
Skipper, your any other thoughts or what we spoke of? Obviously, there's a couple more maybe to use. What's your are you I'm sure you're spreading in here.
Yeah, I was going to go 4 or 5 deep in here. The one, because all the reasons you said, and I think the one is going to go from the rail. That horse doesn't want to go 6 furlongs. We already talked about it. It's bred top and bottom for the grass. That work just topped it off with Muth on the 28th. I'll mention the 4 had a good replay. This horse doesn't want to go long or go short. It wants to go long. It kind of had that awkward step going across the dirt, then turning for home. Kind of was inside and he swung outside and he came flying late. He galloped out good. So got to use the 4. The one that is sneaky to me is the 8, Michael McCarthy's horse. This horse cost $450,000. It was working in Florida. Rapoli ships it out here for him. This horse had good works in Florida. I liked it. The last work it showed one on XB TV, and it was on the dirt. And this horse, you could tell it's not a dirt horse. It's got that high turfy action. So it still finished okay in that race, but the work wasn't impressive at all. The works that I think are good are the ones that are over that. What track is that, Gino? PBD. It's
Palm Beach.
Palm Beach
sounds.
Yeah, in Florida. Those were good. That's a different type of. It's a dirt, but it's a different type of surface. It's almost like how the training track was before they put the Tapeta in. So at 15-1, and I've seen my buddy Michael McCarthy win with a couple of these first timers that have paid good. Victor jumps aboard. So at 15-1, he's going on. And the 9 had a great replay. I know a few of them come out of that same race. And I like the 9's race. Off slow, tight going in the first turn, tight on the backstretch, kind of didn't have room on the turn, dove inside, finished with good energy and a nice gallop out. Much better than it looks performance, just by reading the racing form. If you watch the replays, that was the best replay out of the horses that have run, I thought. And then I got to use the 12 for all the reasons that Gino mentioned and you did. They're putting blinkers on. That was a bad stumble last time. I think it's going to show some more speed, obviously, if it doesn't stumble with the blinkers. So I'm going 1, 4, 8, 9, and 12. And
okay, go ahead.
I've been going deep, but I'm singling the last 2, and they're tough races, but I got to take a stand. So
okay. Yeah, my main 4 and from the replays are 1, 4, 9, 12. But mark my words, one of my 2 tickets, I will single the 1.
Okay, so Skippy already said he has a single in the next 2. Skip?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a single coming up in race number 10 also. So I'm curious if we will have the same horse in this race at least.
All right, Skip, I leave race 10 to you. 6 furlong, $16,000 beaten claimers. Who's your single?
I'm going to take a shot with the class dropper, the horse that came off a long 1.5 year layoff, the 7, Damasio. Jeff Mullins is having a great meet, winning at 33%, 12 starts, 4 wins in 2 seconds. This horse ran first time back off the break like he kind of needed one. And now he's dropping this horse way down. They don't care. 5-year-old. This is a money run, and that's how I see it. And obviously, I like that because Gino's given the thumbs up too, so he thinks the same thing. Tyler Bay sticks with this horse. It's come back to work 4 times, which I like. I think the class drop is what this horse needs, and I'm going to take a stand and single the 7, Damasio.
It's like that one of those memes. You, me, same page. That's where we are on this one right here. Skippy, yeah, same thing. The angle I think I've read and heard it. They call it the toss 2, when you come off of a long layoff and you can excuse the last two races, you're able to be forgiving for the race that sent a horse to the bench because there was something that went wrong. That's why a horse would be off for that long. And then once they come back from the bench, they're always going to need a race, at least one, to get their fitness back up. That race was against Better. Now you get the drop in class, second start back off the long layoff. The horse ran exactly like you would expect a horse to run too off that long layoff. Was third, was in a pretty good spot, and then was just flat late. It just needed that fitness, needed that bottom, working really well. I think just really fits it quite a bit in this spot. And I don't think this horse is going to get overwhelmingly bet either, because the big Chisola right next door is going to take some money because on recent figures a little bit better. So I think these two will probably take money. And in this situation, I always like just trying to pick one of the two of them. For me, it was Damasio.
Well, at least you guys agree on that. I don't have the guts to single in these cheap claiming races, but I like it. I know you guys I know where you're going here with Damasio, and 7-2. I think you're going to get, probably second choice in here.
Yeah.
Right? I think Big Chisola go off as the favorite, but they'll be close. I think maybe you think if 2-1, 5-2 range in there, something like that.
That would make sense. Because the horse is working well too, and it'll be good on the work reports. People will see that. This is a race where you're not going to have the biggest, strongest opinions all over, right? So if you're 2 or 3 deep, you're using Damasio. It just comes down to, are people going to single one or the other maybe in pick 6 situations?
All right, so we go to the 11th and final, long day tomorrow, but we will be up thousands at this point. And Skip's got another single, but Gino, I'm going to start with you to finish it out. We're going 1 mile and an eighth on the turf. A very good race here. And what are your thoughts before we get to Skip's back-to-back singles?
I'm going to probably go 4 deep, I think, to close it out. I did have 2 singles throughout the sequence. I thought there were a couple challenging races where I'm going to need to go probably 4 or 5 deep here. Henny's Crazy Train, definitely going to be on the ticket for me. That's the one I'm starting with. He had a really troubled trip last time out. He was in a really tight spot inside. He was third, just absolutely nowhere to go. He got stopped. He had to alter course, move around. And I thought it was a really good third place finish that day. So he's in the mix for me. The 9, Thrump's Dream, super logical. Another horse where you just kind of go through his form, eliminate the races that were just against a little bit tougher, the Gamely and the race against the optional 80 non-2s. And then you're left with a string of 4 wins. If you eliminate those 2 races, and he'll go third, or she will, this 6-year-old mare will go third start off the bench to the outside. That filly, she's got some ability out there. She can close. She just needs the right type of trip. So she's in the mix for me. And then I threw this horse in last time, and I don't think she got really any type of an urgent ride whatsoever. Pleasant Wave. She's a big price. I think she's a little bit better than that race last time out. And I feel like she'll just get a little bit more, she'll get put into the race a little bit more here. So those are going to be the 4 I'm hoping to be alive with to try to close with here.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as you, Gino. I was 9, 7, 4, 12. So I threw the 4 in instead of Pleasant Wave. And Skipper, we're back to you. Who's the back-to-back single for you?
My first original thought was to single the 9. But when I started watching the replays and the workouts, I'm singling the 12. I don't like the post position, but it's 1 mile and an eighth. They got that long stretch run going in the first turn. I'm hoping Drayden could tuck in there and save ground. This horse has been really impressive these last 2 races. It finishes strong. It's got 3 wins on the Santa Anita turf course. Those are its only 3 wins of her career. The 1 mile and an eighth, I was a little concerned with Thrump's Dream. I know it's won at 1 mile. It's ran at 1 mile and an eighth, and that was in the game. It only got 3 1/4. It probably could get the 1 mile and an eighth. I know Mahina can, because Malibu Pier, this horse's mom, would get the 1 mile and an eighth and farther. And I think the farther, the better for this horse. I'm not a big fan of the jockey switch, but obviously Rispoli's riding the Kentucky Derby with Endlessly. But I'm going to take a shot and single the 12 horse. Horse is sharp. It's come back to work good. And this is my other single.
Gino, I'm glad I didn't bet you mid handicap there, because after he mentioned the 9 and that wasn't the single, I would have bet you $1,000 he was going to go with the 7.
Me
so
too. I was going to. And you know what? He had a good poker face on, because when I was talking, he didn't tip his hand to any of the horses that I mentioned, because I was trying to read his face as I was talking. And I was like, I don't think he has any of the horses I mentioned. And then when you mentioned, I said, I don't think he has who Chappie mentioned either. So well done. I don't want to play poker with you, Skippy.
And we've done so many shows together.
Okay.
We've done so many shows together. We usually know what's coming next.
Because you usually pop the other one, right? When they say a horse that you like, you usually get excited, kind of like, oh, yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
So
we're nodding. We're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. The 7 is coming. Here he comes. And he's singling the 12. All right.
And
let's
the shows. My neck is usually sore from nodding so much.
All right, let's move on and let's go to the most important race of the day, the Kentucky Derby. This is race 12 at Churchill Downs, obviously. Maybe one logical, one price, or what are your thoughts here, Gino? Just walk us through a little bit what you're going to do here. Pick 5s, you're going to bet a try. There's so much money in these pools.
I'm probably not going to be playing a win on any one particular horse this year. I think I have a few that I'm going to be trying to get alive to. Catching Freedom is one of them based on the price. The thing about him, when you look at him, I think he gets kind of typecast as a deep closer, and he's really not. When you watch his races, I think that could really help him in the Derby, because instead of being 15th through 20th, maybe like where Sierra Leone is going to be, he could be maybe 10th through 15th, 10th, 12th, something like that, where he only has to pass half the field instead of almost all the field. And that may be the difference. If you look at Catching Freedom, he continues to progress. That's what I like. He's stepping forward. Can he take one more little step forward here? And that puts him right into it. A little just concerned with Fierceness because of the big race that he ran. I do think that the conversation's getting a little extreme on him. It feels like you're either one way or the other way on Fierceness. And it's funny, I'm kind of in the middle. But from a gambling standpoint, I don't really love, he's not a great gamble in the race for me, but I would not be shocked to see him come back and run well. I think he's a little more capable of things than others do, but it's so funny to me to hear that either you just love him or you just want nothing to do with him. I've kind of bounced back more on that once I heard people so negative, because I don't think it's quite that bad. The 2 prices I'll throw in, Santa Anita Derby winner, Stronghold. I think he's a little bit better than last speed figure might suggest. If you could just project that 3 or 4 points higher, if you're looking at buyers, right? If instead of an 89, he runs a 93 or a 94, you would just feel so much better about him. And we see it all the time where some of these races just get back a little bit scored or graded off slightly, or numbers like that are just difficult to make sometimes. But he's got just a good foundation, and he's proven at Churchill, which is nice.
Correct.
He has a win at Churchill already, and the horse he beat that day is the other one, Resilience. Both of them were 20-1 on the morning line. Not a lot of people are talking about either of them. And when I play out the trip in my head, I like that both of them will just stay wide. I hope they both follow Fierceness. Let him go, and then the 2 of them try to carve out a trip, like 3 or 4 wide, get in as much as you can. If you have to be wide, I'd prefer that than way down inside where you're going to get shuffled. And so those are the 2 of the types of horses who they might be able to fall into a really nice trip here, hit the board at a price, spice some things up. So they'll be in the mix for me. The Japan horse, total wild card. I have to throw him in on a pick 4 and pick 5, Forever Young, because there are versions where he might just be a real monster. And the last 2 races he had, the wins, he was really wide in the Saudi Derby and then at the UAE Derby, like 3-4 wide in a lot of it. That's the type of trip you may have to have in the Derby. So I think he's kind of used to a trip that he may have here. Those are the ones I'll try to kind of get alive to.
The interesting one, Skip, and we'll get to your thoughts too, but on Forever Young, the odd thing about that, obviously the horse is 5 for 5, got a lot of talent. The Japanese are getting better as they come over, and yet the one thing I can't figure out is they keep saying the horse doesn't like dirt kicked in his face. So it's like, what are you going to do in a 20 horse field?
Let me counter that real quick. I do think that was a little like that. There was one race, I think it was his second race, where that was happening, but he won the race, right? So that's what's funny is that they said that in a race that he still won. It wasn't like he got pulled up and eased because he was getting dirt kicked in his face, So I think that's been gotten a little bit exaggerated because he's been wide and they've kept him wide. I don't necessarily know that he can't deal with it. And I mean, hey, Chappie, you want to run around a race and I'll kick a bunch of dirt in your face all around and see how much you like it? I don't know how much anyone would really like it, but I think if that would be the only reason you weren't going to play the horse, don't let that be the only reason. Have there be a few other reasons why.
All right, Skip, first your thoughts on, and I can go on record here. I've heard them on the radio. I've also talked to two gentlemen face to face that think Fierceness is an absolute lock. And they're both guys I respect as handicappers. And that's Frank Miramati and that's Kurt Hoover. And they said if they get 5-2 or higher, they're shoving all in like it's nobody's business. I obviously the horse freaked the last time out, but it got everything his own way in the front end. I just can't see that happening. Are you in that camp where this horse is just like Gino said, you're either all in or I'm not. I got a spread here and I've got another horse to add, but Skip your thoughts.
Yeah, listen, Fierceness is probably the best horse in the race, but it's too inconsistent for me. I mean, it wins by 11, it loses by 20, it wins by 6, it loses by 3, it wins by 13. Well, the cycle is it's going to lose again, right? It's working lights out. That last work was unbelievable, and the gallop out was even better than the actual work. But, if this horse is better when he gets on a lonely lead. And guess what? He's not going to get on a lonely lead. This pace is going to be fast. Dornoch from the rail, I've always liked this horse. I've given it out a few times on the radio. Listen, that race in the Fountain of Youth wasn't impressive. It was a small field. The other horse of Pletcher's got scratched. It wasn't impressive at all. They didn't have it cranked that day. Then the next race in the Bluegrass, they tried to take this horse back. Well, it was fighting Saez, wasn't happy. Got tired late, still kept coming, but I didn't like. They tried something new. Well, now he's got the rail. And listen, he's going to be in the gate a long time with 20 or 19, 20 horses in there. It's not where you want to be. But Saez is going to gun this horse to the lead, I think. And this horse gets really game when he makes the lead. It's a completely different horse. Even in the workouts, if you watch the workouts, this horse gets in front of the workout, that workmate is not passing it. But, I'm going to use a few in here. I'm going to mention a couple of the prices. Sierra Leone looks great. I hate the post position for that. But, boy, he's sure been impressive. Honor Marie is one that I'm going to use on every ticket. This horse has got 2 wins. He's got 3 starts at Churchill Downs, both wins at Churchill Downs, and a second at Churchill Downs. So he's been first or second every time. First time back off the layoff in the Risen Star, sloppy track, didn't really get a hold of it, I didn't think, and, obviously needed the race. Then came back in the Louisiana Derby and got beat by Catching Freedom, but I love the way that this horse was finishing. Catching Freedom passed him on the outside. This is the 3rd race off the cycle, which is often the horse's best, as Gina was saying earlier. Came back with a really good workout on the 25th, 59-1. They gave it a B+ on the workout report, and it showed speed in that work. So at 20-1, Honor Marie's going to be on my ticket. Just a touch ran giant. It's only got 3 starts, but boy, it's been impressive. That last race in the Bluegrass was really impressive. They went fast early, and that horse held on. My other bomb that I like is Domestic Product. This horse, look at this last 2 races. In the Holy Bull, they were walking on the lead, 25, 50-2, 114. Obviously, the horse needed the race. First time off the break, got beat 2 lengths, comes back in the Tampa Bay Derby. That was a disaster. We couldn't even wager on it. I got, I had to pick 4 and pick 5 going, and that was
the day I hit too, and we all got that was the day I was supposed to hit, and then the boat malfunction. People wouldn't even believe it if you wrote it in a movie, right? Like we were saying, It was like, no way. Yeah.
Right. And we didn't even get the track odds. At Tampa Bay Downs, they paid better than they did on the other, what I bet on. And whatever. Story of my life, right? But then, the Tampa Bay Derby, 25, 51, 116. Yeah. Guess what? This horse still got up. It didn't come with the prep race. This horse has been working with Sierra Leone, and this horse has been working real good with Sierra Leone. So domestic product, that's a must use for me. It's probably my top play.
He's 28 right now. He's not taking that much money either. I'm looking at the odds because they've, the betting's been open. So there's nothing that's all that strange. Fierceness is 3-1 right now. Sierra Leone is 5-1. Catching Freedom is 8. Forever Young is 6-1. So the 11 is taking some money right now early. And the horse that's actually taking a good amount of money, a little bit, is Mystic Dan. He's down to 16. He's a horse who's been good in the off track. So I think people today saw the sloppy track and he probably got upgraded a little bit too. But how crazy, Chappie or Skippy, if you were just to say how many races a year would you be able to get Chad Brown and Irad Ortiz at 25-1? Honestly, like, how many other times would you even be able to find that? It's funny.
Maybe one time, the Kentucky Derby, domestic product.
Yeah.
I have nothing much to add. I mean, the two horses I was going to mention are basically what Skip you just talked about. You both did domestic product, especially when they walked on the lead the last time, and this horse closed into a 51.5 with Irad jumping aboard. My top pick, I think, is actually Just a Touch. That horse finally went 2 turns, finally got a dry track. Is only so lightly raced, which in the past we wouldn't even talk about horses that haven't ran before. That all has changed since the Justified days. I think this horse, there's so many of these horses, somebody's going to make a huge jump up.
When he chased that Rabbit, Top Connor, who I liked last time out, that was the Chad Brown stablemate. That horse was flying on the front and just was really close to him, and he hung around. The Wise Guy horse kind of right now is the one that's been the buzzy workhorse. And a lot of people have mentioned, and I think who you talked about, Frank Miramati, I think I saw he was going to play an ice cold Exacta 2, 17-7, I believe. Honor Marie's at 12-1 right now. So taking a good amount of money, the 7 down from 20-1. And that wouldn't shock me to see that horse stay close to that because he's been working really well. He's been a real buzzy horse. He's another one with Churchill success previously. So you could see him rounding back in and taking another nice step forward. So yeah, good luck to everyone taking a big swing tomorrow.
All right, we've gone long enough. Let's throw out the two favorites here, and I don't think we're going to pick them on top anyways. Just your top pick in the Derby, Skip.
I'm going domestic product.
Catching Freedom for me, the 4.
And I'll go the 8, Just a Touch. So 4, 8, 15. Let's play that exactly. It'll pay an ungodly amount of money. We're overdue, fellas.
There we go.
All right, thanks so much. Good luck tomorrow. You can join us tomorrow morning on the Morning Line Sports Show on AM 830, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time, or TML AM 830 on Instagram Live or Facebook Live. We will talk with a lot more experts, much more about the Derby, and give out our top picks as well. So, gentlemen, Derby Day tomorrow. Always the most
one more thing, too. Don't forget about that Kentucky Derby Challenge, that huge contest. That's one of the biggest ones of the year that you could play at ExpressBet. I mean, you win seats to the NHC, BCBC. Everybody's already looking at those races. You've already handicapped them. If you had a good day today and you have some extra money in your account, take a swing tomorrow. Take a big shot, and maybe that could be a life changer for you.
Absolutely. Plenty of money to be made tomorrow. Gentlemen, thanks so much.
Good luck.
One of the best days of the year. Good luck. We'll see you very soon. Thanks.